Welcome to the Grown Ass Dads podcast. Boop boop a doopy doopy boo. All right, welcome to episode 3 of Grown Ass Dads.
Woohoo!
We are Grown Ass Dads. Cheers.
Absolutely, episode 3. Nobody's lit us on fire yet, so
It's early.
We're doing something right, I think.
So the nice thing about us meeting prior to starting this thing was we kind of had a ton of topics in the can.
Right.
I think that's a real podcast term, in the can. Mm-hmm. As opposed to it being Saturday at 2:30 in the morning and you're in the can.
That's different.
Different.
Right, okay.
So tonight we're going to talk about work-life balance.
Yeah.
And our amazing leader, Jason Byrne.
I'm a leader.
You're a leader in my eyes.
Don't pump his ego.
Has all this beautiful content like staged for us to like, here's some teasers for you guys to sit here and talk like a bunch of idiots, and maybe people will listen to you, which I think is great.
It is great.
I'm Adam Bundren. This is my buddy Jay.
Hi, everybody. Jay Hilsing, and behind the camera and on the ones and twos.
I haven't been on the ones and twos in years, but man, it sure feels like I'm on the ones and twos again.
Yeah.
Wiki, wiki, wiki.
I love it. Mr. Jason Byrne.
Fair enough.
So the first question, I guess, to this topic is that even a thing? Is work-life balance a thing? So I know how I feel, but I'm curious about what your take is on it.
Sure. Work-life balance is, in my opinion, one of the very hardest things to achieve, because balance is a little bit relative to what it has to be day to day, week to week, month to month. And it would be great if you and I had an opportunity to go, hey, we're going to work 40 hours, and then we're going to play with the kids for 40 hours a week, and we're going to get 40 whatever hours of sleep, and we're going to spend some time with our significant others, and everything is going to roll just perfectly.
Is that a real thing for you?
You know what? I'm 45 years old, and I don't know that I've had a week like that in my life.
Same.
So it's something that we strive for, and it's something that we are actively working at. And I think about on a, if not daily, for sure weekly basis, just in the simple fact of with the 2 kids and with the business and all of the things that are pulling us in all of the different directions. I know that I told you earlier before we went on air that I said to Jason 2 weeks ago, I am failing at everything. I'm not good at anything right now. I'm not doing a great job at work. I'm not doing a great job as a dad. I'm not doing a great job as a boyfriend. I'm not doing a great job at anything. And trying to right-size that is super difficult, because any time that you pull from one to give to the other, something suffers.
Yeah. Or at least it feels like something suffers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think work-life balance is real. I think it's a myth.
Okay.
I don't think that, at least not. So I run a real estate company. In my line of business, there is no balance. Zero. None. I like to think of it as harmony. So it's not always equal, right? When I think of balance, I think of like literally like the chick with the blindfold and the scales.
The scales,
like,
yeah.
Sure.
There's probably a more sophisticated name for that.
Chick with the scales sounds
Chick
right.
with the scales.
Right. It does not exist, right? So in my line of business, it is not uncommon for me to drive separately to a baseball game or to a play with the boys or something like that, because dad has to go show a property afterwards. Right. Or, now what I will say is that it's super important to me, and I'm sure we'll get into this, to calendar my stuff first, my kids' stuff and my family stuff first. Those are the most important appointments that I have. But if someone calls me and says, hey, Adam, I really want to see this property on Saturday at 10 o'clock, can you see it? It's not uncommon for me to say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. I can do it at 11:30 or 12. Can you do that? Now, they don't need to know that 11:30 or that 10 o'clock appointment is a basketball game or church or whatever it is. But it is impossible for me to think that I will ever, unless I do something else. Maybe this podcast is going to take off. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, if something else happens and I can have work-life balance, that'd be amazing. But it is in sales. It is, and you guys know that. That's what that's a huge part of what you do. It's impossible for me to have balance.
Sure.
I think it also depends on what you consider. I like your word harmony. I think the whole concept of work-life harmony makes a lot of sense. What I'm struggling with is the definition of life, right? So there's more to being me and living my life than just two things. Life is a big, big collection of things,
sure.
Right? So I'm not just trying to balance two things. I'm balancing work, I'm balancing family, I'm balancing personal time, I'm balancing husband and wife time, all these different types of things, right?
Yeah.
So generally when you talk about balance, you're thinking of two things. Your scales, right? The chick she's only got two hands, so
right.
She's only balancing two things. So I think the use of the word harmony is a good word because you're actually trying to find that harmony amongst a whole wide variety of things as
right.
opposed to just two.
What's
right.
personal time? I don't know that I've had personal time in a decade.
I was going to say, is this a family show? What are we talking about here?
What are we talking about here? Because it seems like, so I stay up late. I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
And my personal time, and we'll call it my time to decompress or just be by myself, is typically from like 10:30 or 11 o'clock to midnight or 1 in the morning. And it's watching a show, it's listening to a podcast, it's zoning out. I mean, it's something that the entire day from when I get up until when the boys go to bed, it feels like I've got somebody or something pulling at me almost 100% of the time. And so that's one of the hardest things. Is I would like to be a morning person. I'd like to be up at 6.
God, I would love it.
I'd love to be up at 6 and work out and get a little workout in,
like I do,
just like you do.
If I could look like you as a result of it, it would be even better.
Trust me, you don't want this.
You're right.
Yeah, I'll be me. But I can't. I tried it, and I've tried it over and over again. Hey, we're going to bed at 10 o'clock. We're getting up at 6. We're going to work out. When the kids go to bed at 9:30, and then there's laundry, and we're going to potentially return some emails. We're going to clean the kitchen. We're going to, whatever it is as a dad that you have to do before you can actually do anything for yourself. Now it's 10:30, 11 o'clock, and
right.
I go, well, I gotta chill out for a little bit. And the next thing I know, it's 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then my alarm goes off at 6, and I'm like, nope, fuck that.
Right.
7:30 it is, or whatever that ends up being. So it's that's a really, really difficult time. Your kids, my kids, Jason kids are all in the similar age, and they're not exactly completely self-sufficient, if you will.
Yeah.
When I say personal time, it is exactly what it sounds like. I'm saying time where I am by myself, only doing what I want to do, not distracted. And maybe I'm a lucky one here. I don't know. I find that I do a pretty decent job at that. Whether it's getting out and playing around a golf by myself, or heck, the majority of Saturdays and Sundays during the afternoon, I'm sitting on the couch. My wife is working because she works weekends, but she's at home, but she's working. My kids don't care about what the hell I'm doing on a weekend. They're off playing video games or what have you. So I'm literally sitting on the couch watching golf. Saturday and Sundays, I'm sitting there watching golf. I'll get up and I'll toss in a load of laundry, come sit right back down,
watch
more
golf. Right.
I mean, that's basically what I do, right? And then I know this is probably pretty lame, but I have personal time every morning while the kids are getting ready. I sit in the dark and just think for a little bit, which is something new.
Great.
It's something new for me, but I find that 2-3 minutes of time where I got my clothes changed. The kids are downstairs eating breakfast, getting ready for school. I literally just turn the lights off in the bathroom, sit there, and just think about what does my day have ahead of me, and kind of just level sets a little bit, I guess.
So when you're doing that, unless you're sitting on the commode, paint a picture. Like, are you thinking about like your calendar for the day? Are you thinking about your mindset for the day? Are you thinking about like the big? I don't know if you guys have read Eat the Frog. Are you thinking about the frog for the day? Like what's going through your mind when you're having that reset?
I think it's funny that you think Jay and I have read anything, let alone a particular book.
Can you?
I've read books.
Okay, I
can't spell the words, but I read them pretty well.
Or do you listen to them?
Nah, I don't listen.
I think the last book that I read cover to cover was written probably by Stan and Jane Berenstein or Baron. Is it Berenstein? Berenstein?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know?
That's a good question. That's one of those like lifelong debates as to how you pronounce that.
It's that's a Mandela effect situation there.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Full of shit. You read a ton of books in high school and college that you had to do projects on.
Cover to cover is the important piece there. Like I will read a book and bounce around and get to where I want to. I was a huge user of Cliff's Notes. Always use Cliff's Notes. We didn't have the internet available to us.
I like how you say Cliff's Notes like it's a person. like it's a man.
Is Cliff not a person?
Cliff is the fucking man. He helped me all the way through high school.
You know what I did? I used Cliff's Notes.
Cliff's a fucking genius.
Cliff was the man. But yeah, I've never been a big reader.
So we shouldn't start a book club.
You can. I will not show up.
All right.
I just reading is like watching paint dry to me. I can't do it.
That's fair.
We could get into this for a long time, so we're gonna blaze past this book thing. This might be another episode, but
my centering.
Yes.
I am not thinking about the frog. I am sure as hell not thinking about my calendar because that's gonna do nothing for myself. Mornings are really, really hard for me. Just me being who I am, getting myself motivated to actually wake up and start the day is hard. And I think it's me sitting down kind of saying, what's ahead of me today and why do I want to be awake sometimes, honestly?
Sure.
What do I have to look forward to today, those types of things, and or what was good about yesterday, what was bad about yesterday, and how can I change that today?
So when you're working through, I'm not trying to therapize you, but when you're working through like what do I have to look forward to today? What typically do you go to? What gets you going? Like, because you and I have talked a lot about, dealing with slowness in the mornings and whether we call it depression or anxiety or
Sure.
a mixture of all of those things. What gets you going? Like, what gets your feet on the ground and you to take steps to go to the kitchen and do the thing and get started and put your shoes on and all that shit?
When I figure that out, I'll let you know.
Okay. So it depends on the day.
Yeah, I don't know that there is that one thing that lights that fire, right? And at least not to the degree that I would like for it to. I mean,
sure.
Jay brought it up earlier. I'd love to be that morning person. I think I'm on my 30th straight week of saying, this week I'm going to be the 5 a.m. guy, that I'm going to get up, I'm going to exercise, and then I'm going to do emails for 30 minutes. That way I'm ahead of the schedule and all the 5 a.m. club nonsense that they talk about on different social platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
Literally, I am at least 30 weeks in a row that I've said I'm going to do that, but I just can't. I don't know if it's just my bed is that comfortable or what it is, but I mean, I literally take the kids to school, come back home and lay back down, and then I start my day. There isn't something that has lit my world on fire and made me want to drop my feet to that floor and go running.
Okay. I'm down with that.
Bones, what does your mornings look like?
So I'm gonna throw in a built-in excuse.
All right.
So we have a dog, a puppy. Right. She is great, but fuck.
I have one too.
So prior to the puppy, I would get up at 6-ish, 6:30-ish, help get the boys ready for school. I would take the kid. So my wife works at the school where
Okay.
the boys go to school. I would take the boys to school. We would leave at the same time and go to the same place because my work schedule is so crazy that I wanted to have at least a minute with them. Like it was, we'd just bullshit on the way or listen to music, or sometimes they would say, well, I want to pick a song and I want to pick a song. Like it was just a minute that I would get. It kind of was great. I really want to get back to that now that I think about it.
There you go.
And then we got this puppy. And so she brings the boys to school, and then I get up with the dog. No, no. Wouldn't that be something? Might make some money.
I want to sidebar 1 second. You take the kids to school, or you enjoyed
Yeah,
it. You
I
took
loved
the kids
it.
to school every day. Was there anything that was an everyday thing? Like an everyday thing? Was there something you told them? Was there something that...
Yeah.
What did that look like? Or what was your favorite part about that?
I mean, my favorite part was it's literally 3 songs away from our house.
Right.
And so usually I would pick one, they would pick one, and we would be there. And then when they would get dropped off, I would say, hey, be kind today, or some little comment. I didn't have a specific one, but it was something. And I got to tell them I love them before they walked out the door, before they walked into school. And my day was started because of that, but I always would go to the office directly from there. So I would have to pass the highway, and I would go to the office after I left there, and I was the first one in the office for like an hour.
Okay.
No one else was there, and it was great. Most of the time I was productive. Sometimes I would, scroll or dick around, or, but I work in a brokerage where there's a ton of agents, and there's a receptionist who is responsible for making sure there's coffee made and, all the water done. I would do that. No one else was there. So I would go up, I would make a couple pots of coffee for the whole office. I'd make me a cup, and it just felt good to start my day. And I've gotten off of that for a while. And I feel it. I feel heavy.
Okay.
And the times in which I can't get out of bed are more common now than they were when I was doing that activity that kind of forced me out of bed because I was bringing the boys to school. And
I think I missed something. So you don't take the kids to school anymore?
I don't.
Okay.
And I don't like that. And I'm the one I'm the barrier to that.
I think you have homework for this week.
I think I do too.
Yeah.
And I as I'm saying it, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm the one stopping that.
So I had that. I was the one that took the kids to school every day. My ex was at work earlier. She started, anywhere between 7 and 8, and she had a long drive and what have you. And I took the boys to school every day and enjoyed it because one of my kids is a morning person, the other one is me, who's not. But one of the things that we started, and when they first went, this has been going on now for 7, 8 years now, since they were in kindergarten, preschool. It's one of the few things that I felt like I did right as a dad as they were growing up. The last thing that we talked about, every time they got out of the car, they get out of the car to go to school, and I would say, guys, what are we going to do today? And I programmed them in this, and they would turn back around and they would say, we're going to be nice to everybody. And that was a discussion that we had early, because no matter what, growing up, everybody hated middle school. There's not one person, if they looked themselves in the mirror honestly and said, middle school was awesome. Middle school kids suck. All of them. And it's not because, like, all these kids suck. They're all hormonal. Things are changing. Things are cool. Things are not. Everybody's uncomfortable in their own skin. And middle school, in my opinion, is the single hardest time of a kid's life. But when you grew up all the way through, and if I guarantee you know at least one or two, and Jason knows one or two, I know a couple of kids that in no way, shape, or form would I call them the most popular, the coolest, the best athlete, the best whatever. But there was the kid that was nice to everybody, and everybody loved him. Didn't matter what they did. It didn't matter where they were. And everybody loved him, and everybody wanted to spend time, and that was a safe person to go and have lunch with or to go do whatever. And so at the end of the day, for my boys, whatever they end up doing, sports, theater, bookworm, whatever it is, if they end up being the kid that when they are graduating high school or they whatever that is, they're like, that kid, that dude, the nicest dude in this school.
Yeah.
He was nice to me all of the time. He never made fun of me. He never got in. We never got in. Like that was the best dude there was. And so we did that every single day. And about 6 months ago, we moved into our new house, and they walk to school every day now. So they literally walk out of my back door and into school. And so I don't get to have that little brief interaction with them. And then the other thing that was more, it was fun for me, but fun for them. So every Friday on the way to school, right before they went in, I would play the Bulls entrance music, and I would announce their names like they were going into the game. And then they basically, I would say, what time is it? And they would yell school time, and then they jump out of the car and they're all amped up, and I'd send them in like they were all hopped up on Mountain Dew going in to see their teachers.
That's hilarious.
And it was awesome because it was virtually impossible for them to walk into school and not be laughing or having fun because I just cranked up the radio and I just did this big intro of all this stuff.
Right.
And we get done, they get out of the car, and they'd be like, "It's school time." And I go, "Let's do it." And then they get out of the car and I'd say, "What are we doing today?" "Be nice to everybody, Dad, love you." And then they run off school. And it was awesome. And it's I don't give myself a whole lot of credit because I've fucked up a lot as a dad, but that particular piece was something that always, and it was good for me too because I was always fired up, and I was always like, all right, they're good, they're gonna have a great day,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go have a great day. And it was helpful for me as well, mentally, to get my day rolling, and Fridays are great days for me.
I think in our car, all of us. So I also take the kids to school. I take my youngest to school still. My oldest are both driving now, so they take themselves to school. But all four of us are such not morning people that I don't think we said 2 words to each other in the car on the way to school. And if there was somebody talking, the rest of us were like, "Shut up," because we didn't want to hear it, right? Like, shame on me, I guess, but I like my quiet. And in the morning time, if somebody else for some reason is all amped up and ready to freaking rock and roll, I hate that person. I don't care if it's my kid. I don't care if it's my friend. Shut up and let me mope, because this is my morning time, and that's what I do.
That's why I love camping with you.
It's great. It's great.
I'm up at 6 with coffee and chirping birds.
No.
I
will shoot those birds.
I know. So one of the questions that Jason had kind of posed to us was, when things are out of balance or out of harmony, what do you do?
Okay.
So what's your strategy when things are going haywire?
My world is I have to calendarize better. And I live by my calendar as it is. Jason says, he'll sit with himself and sit with his thoughts for a few minutes each morning and think about what he's got to do or what's going on. I'm a go button. As soon as I get out of the shower and my clothes are on and I'm walking out the door, I am going at 1,000 miles an hour. And if it's not on my calendar, it's probably not happening. And if it is on my calendar, it still might not happen. But I am a full go. And I don't have once I'm going, I'm good. It is. I do have some of those mornings where it's 7, 8, 10 snooze buttons. But once I'm at it, like I'm typically running really, really fast. And so if I feel out of balance, or I feel like I'm really failing at one thing or another, whether that is dadding, work, personal stuff, just whatever that ends up being, I have to really, really commit and like settle into my calendar, be like, I'm whatever is on my calendar. And what I'll do is that week or that 2 weeks I'm resetting that situation, I will load my calendar with stuff, personal and professional, that is just, this is what's happening, period. And we're going to right the ship, and we're going to get back into the flow of things and get it back together. Because when I feel like things really got away from me, it feels like a tornado around me, and I don't know which way's up, and I don't know what my next thing is, and I'm just trying to hold on. So that's how I reset myself in my world.
That's fair. So calendaring, scheduling, whatever you want to call it, is something that I coach to and teach to on a professional level. I probably have some room for improvement there, but I use an exercise called the ideal week.
Okay.
And so we have 168 hours in a week. And I typically sit whoever I'm working with down, and I say, okay, I make 2 columns, and I say, we're going to talk about your personal life. And if it's Tuesday, and if I meet you next Tuesday at the same time, and I say, Jay, how was your week? And you say, man, it was fucking amazing. Personally, just so fulfilling. That's where I want your head to go right now.
Okay.
And then I say, how many hours did you sleep each day? Most of the time, I got 8 hours of sleep, or I only require 6. Great. 6 times 7 is what? We write it down. Now, tell me about your morning routine. Well, I get up, I take a shit, I shave, I brush my teeth, take a shower. It takes about 30 minutes. Great. You do that every single day of every week? Yes. Great. 30 minutes times 7, boom, 3.5 hours. We write it down. So we go through every single thing of their personal life. Date nights, kid practice, personal time, all of it. We write it all down, and we sum it up. And then I say, okay, now it's Tuesday. You come back here next Tuesday. I say, Jay, how was your week professionally? You say, I fucking crushed it. I did everything I wanted to do. I lead generated. I followed up on all my leads. I closed some deals. I went on appointments, all these things. We write all that down, everything down. How many hours a week did you lead generate? How many hours a day did you go on appointments? How many hours a week did you spend on training yourself? Write it all down. Then we sum it up. Most of the time, 99% of the time, when we add both of those numbers, they're less than 168 hours, most of the time. And the exercise is basically to say, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing with your time?
Yeah, what are you filling time with?
Because you just told me that in order to have the best week of your life, personally and professionally, you can fit all of that in. So it's kind of a way to back into your strategy of like, let's take a look at your calendar.
Sure.
What is on your calendar that is either from a professional standpoint not income producing, or something that can be delegated, or something that you don't even need to be doing? And then from a personal perspective, what are you doing that isn't filling your cup? Because what happens, in my experience, most of the time what professionals do is they take and they rob from their personal time to make up for their insecurities professionally. And that's why we are walking around as the most depressed and anxious generation in the history of the fucking world, because we are robbing ourselves of the shit that really matters so that we can make amends with this magical, mysterious, professional expectation that we have of ourselves. And it's fucking bullshit. And that's how I reset. When shit is out of balance, I do it to myself. I'm like, okay, how many hours am I sleeping? Well, 4. That's not good.
Yeah.
We're starting off on the wrong foot. How many hours am I, am I sitting down and having dinner with my family once a week, twice a week if I'm lucky? Well, that's a problem. And I recalendar my shit. I reorganize my life. Now it really falls into that idea of harmony, because 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock might not be sitting on the couch watching a show anymore. It might be catching up on emails, or going through and running CMAs, or whatever it is. But sure, I will right the ship by getting a very granular look on where is my time spent.
This ideal week concept.
Yeah.
You picked this up from somewhere, or this is something that you've generated and created yourself, or is it from a book?
Yeah, so I don't think it's from a book. It might be, but so when I got into Keller Williams, my coach, who is now a great friend of mine, Dave Nations, who runs a really fantastic team, he basically sat me down and he said, I want you to go through this training with this guy, Rich Rector. And this guy, Rich Rector, was like a mastermind. He was a really, really smart guy around scheduling. And I believe he had this concept of like making sure that everything is an appointment and putting your family stuff on there first. So it kind of stemmed from that. And then I took another class that kind of had some of those concepts in it. But if I remember correctly, I mean, I might have just fucking ripped it off. I don't know. But like, if I remember correctly, it just wasn't conversational enough for me, which is very much my style when it comes to coaching and teaching people. It's like, let's have a conversation because we're human beings and that's what human beings should do. It turned into this ideal week. So now when I am coaching anybody in the real estate or other industries, that is one of the first things that we look at is ideal week. And when I'm interviewing people to join the team, it's another thing that we do. Because I've interviewed people and they've said, I want to make $100,000 a year. I'm like, killer, love that. Let's figure out how to do that. And then they say, okay, let's go through this exercise. And they're willing to work 25 hours a week.
Yep.
And I said, hey, listen, unless you're the most efficient person on the fucking planet, that doesn't match up. So you either need to lower this expectation or up your output. And they've said, I'm not willing to do either. And I said, just so you know, that's possible, just not here.
Yeah. Find somewhere else.
Maybe it's on your own, doing your own shit and doing it your own way. That's very, very possible. It's not possible here because I know what it takes, to produce on our team. And it's more than 24 hours a week. I can tell you that to make $100K.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we're ready to monetize, if it's not already in a book, the Grown Ass Dad's Guide to Time Management or Work-Life Balance, it's going to be the ideal week.
I'm willing to bet
Trademark.
there are. That's great. You called it. It's like calling shotgun until somebody punches you and takes it from you.
Let's be honest. Jason's probably going to write it all down and put it in a fucking nice, neat little package. And
yeah, there's probably 100 different theories or structures that go along with what that is, and there's chunking, there is your all of these different time management situations that all of these different people put out there. I actually went through a training that was a Tony Robbins training that was in that world, that every day the first thing that you do is you basically make 3 columns. They're the must, must, need, and want. And so it's you write down in that must column stuff. You go through exactly what your day is, or what even on Monday is your week, and you go, I must do these things,
right.
And they are they are untouchable. That's getting done. And then next to that column, you're going to actually write a time in a day that you're going to actually do that. And those are meetings and appointments with clients and creating proposals and different things. And then you're going to have your needs, and the needs are going to be things that are going to either generate business for the following week, or that are going to be need to get to be able to figure out how to generate this proposal, or figure out what the right price point is, or what have you. And then you're going to have that third column that is going to be all of the other bullshit that goes along for the week, that is going to be, hey, I would like to do that. That would be fun. That would be good. That if I get to it, okay. And in essence, everything that is in those first 2 columns has to be completed before you even touch
the next one,
the third category. And I know what it looks like, and it's a really, really, really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I've tried it, and it's just, for me and my ADD brain, it is so fucking hard to be that disciplined and that committed to these things. And the people that can do it, killers, absolute stone cold killers. I have not found a way to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to hybrid it to where I can do those 2 columns, but then the likes or the things that are in column 3, I can sprinkle in for some of my brain
rewards.
little reward, little carrot for the horse, if you will. But I'm like, And then all of a sudden I'm like, that was really fun. And then I was supposed to do,
Right.
4 other musts that I spent 4 hours doing stuff that I like doing instead. And
Yep.
all hell breaks loose. But these are in that world, if you could figure out a way to work-life balance in that world and be that disciplined for it, I think that you might not have a myth. Like you might have something, but in that situation, it's so fucking hard to do.
Right. One of the other things that I tend to do when shit's going a little sideways is, so I'm not a big fan of calling them to-do lists. I like calling them success lists. And I keep them to 10 items or less. And there's one rule that I have with a success list is it has to be a task that I can complete in less than an hour. So like my success list can't be like remodel the bathroom. It has to be gut the vanity. You know what I mean? It has to be something that's very small, and there has to be a follow-up task to it if it leads to a bigger picture. So if it's the last piece of the puzzle, I'll just mark it off. But if it's not, I have to have another task, and that task has to get calendared. And that tends to work pretty well when I'm losing my shit because I just am spinning too many plates.
Right.
Those success lists are huge. I mean, it's funny. Like, I'm not great at it because I'll finish one and I'll be like 1 through 10, and then 1 is marked off, and then I'm like 11, and then I'll put number 11, and 2's gone. I'm like 12. So I kind of screw myself when it comes to that, but it at least gets me going, and those tasks are small enough to where I can take these small bites out of my day. And by the end of the week, I'm like, holy shit, I killed it this week.
Yeah.
I like where your head's at with the success concept, right? So I am very much somebody who is motivated by wins.
Yeah.
At any time that I feel like stuff is off the rails, I'm always trying to figure out how in the world can I do something to get some wins. It doesn't need to be a huge win. Small wins are equally as valuable, right? So, yes, I'm a big to-do list person as well. Like, yeah. I'm always writing down the things that I don't limit it to 10. I don't have the rules around an hour, but I do try to make them measurable and as small as I can. So, like, I'll take one big thing that I'm trying to accomplish, but what I'll actually put on the to-do list is 8 or 9 different items that all add up to that big thing,
right?
Similar to what you're saying.
Chunking.
So, yeah, so that way I don't feel like I'm churning on this list and getting nowhere. I mean, sometimes I'll even put something that I know that I'm actively working on and will be done with in 10 minutes.
I'm
still putting it on the damn list so that way I can mark it off.
Fucking cheater.
Dude, there's nothing better than going...
I don't know what it is. Like, I don't care if it's a written list. I don't care if it's a to-do list in our Asana Task Manager application. Clicking that button to put that check mark into a to-do list and calling yourself done with something is always something that I personally take as an opportunity to be like, I just had a win.
Right.
I mean, even going back to when I was working in corporate America, my boss was really the first person that made me realize I am motivated by wins. And if I haven't had wins or a win or something that I can call a win, I am at, I don't want to call it rock bottom, but I mean, it is noticeable that my world is not good.
Yeah.
So she was one of the first people that was like, we need to find you a win. Whether you realize you're winning or not, we need to find you a win because that's what keeps you motivated and keeps you moving forward. So I like your concept of the success list.
Adam, you work plenty. You're a grinder. You're in a sales and customer-centric industry where, quite frankly, I mean, you're driven by the amount of people that you have in your funnel and houses that you're looking to sell. What is something that you have done at the end of a day, or somewhat you had a rough one, or you just needed some time that you are not exactly proud of? And when I say that, I mean, what is something you're like, you had something to do at home, or you're just like, I just can't. I'm gonna do this. What did that look like, or when have you ran into that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've probably run into it a bunch. What I would say is, so I think what my family would say is when I've had a day and they know I've had a day, there's probably a long poop in my future.
Okay.
Like an hour in the bathroom scrolling NHL.com's website and hiding out.
You know what I call that? Personal time.
Like to be totally like, I know it's kind of silly, but like if I'm productive and things are going, like, I can get in and out pretty quickly for the most part.
All right.
I've never really been a bar stool kind of guy. I mean, at least since I've had kids.
Okay.
I've done it. Like, hey, shit day. Have an appointment at the end of the day, and it's me sitting on a bar stool.
Yeah.
I've had those days. They're very few and far between. Probably the thing that sucks the most about what I've done is been extremely non-helpful around like, my wife works too. So when I get home and she gets home, like, we both work today. But she still has to, like, wrangle 2 kids and get lunches packed for the next day and do laundry and clean up because I kicked my shoes off in the middle of the living room and the dog started her period and is bleeding all over the floor. Like, all of those things are real things that happen. And I will sit on the fucking couch like a bum and stare at my phone or stare at the TV or go out in the garage and dick around or just isolate. I think that's the thing that sucks the most is I realize in hindsight that I'm doing it, but I isolate. And isolation doesn't stop when, like, I get home. I want to isolate. I want to be alone because I feel alone. Because my day was shit or because my mind's fucked up and I'm thinking about the things that make me sad and, all that stuff. So then usually the boys, around 7:30, the family congregates in the living room to watch America's Funniest Videos or Wipeout or something silly. And then the boys go to bed. I'll fall asleep at 7 o'clock on the couch. And now she's not only had to do the rest of the day by herself, she's had to do bedtime by herself, prayers by herself, and then comes in, wakes me up, we go to bed, and I sit up until 2 o'clock in the morning on my phone, scrolling or watching a show or something. So it's complete avoidance or not being emotionally available. And I know after it's done, I know I did it. But in the moment, I'm selfish and I've isolated myself in a way that makes the day feel like it wasn't so bad.
I think my family would argue they'd prefer that I went the avoidance route because I'm a crabby little bitch. If I've had a
time,
that's quite often,
but
particularly in these moments that you're talking about where I've had a bad day or my balance is out or however you want to look at it. I'm not proud of it, but I very outwardly wear my emotions on my sleeve. And Jake can attest to that. He's with me every damn day. And hell, the one day our UPS driver came in and he even said, well, I can tell it's not a good day to talk to Jason because you could just tell. I'm like, oh shit. But that's the way that I am. If I'm feeling overloaded or if I'm feeling like I'm doing something wrong or just like we said earlier, the balance is just out, I am crabby. And unfortunately, as a result of that, I end up taking it out on everybody around me, whether I want to or not. I don't get physical with anyone or actually yell at anyone necessarily. You just can tell, and as a result, I'm bringing people down with me. And to your point about realizing it after the fact, I oftentimes realize it right in the middle of it, and I'll correct it for 5 minutes and feel better about it, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'm right back to crabby again, right? And that's not fair to anyone else. I mean, nobody that's around me at that particular time contributed necessarily to the bad day that I had, because most often that's happening on the work side more so than the life side. But
for sure.
But the life side is what ends up suffering as a result of things at work. Very seldom does work suffer because of things that are happening on the life side. So I guess that kind of brings it back to the whole topic of why that harmony is so important, because yes, work is important, and yes, work is what supports the life side of the business, or the life side of the world, I guess you could say, but the life side is what matters. At the end of the day, work is work, and you work to live. You don't live to work, as they say, right? So I think just taking away from this conversation, that's one of the things that I'm realizing is like, hey, listen, no matter how hard your day is, no matter how many hours you're putting in, no matter how good your day went at work, I particularly, and I would imagine a lot of other people, need to leave that there.
Yeah.
Come home, be present. Don't be a crabby little bitch like I can tend to be. I will either be a crabby little bitch, or I will come home and I will literally go to sleep. Like I ignore. I try to just escape by going to sleep and then letting the dreams take over, and then I'm not worried about things anymore.
Right.
I think a lot of that is more of your emotional intelligence about yourself, like knowing yourself and being honest with where you're at. And I'm going to sidebar for 1 second. Our UPS driver, Mario, is the dude. He is the dude, and he comes by every day. Big smile. Dude's got tons of energy. He's an absolute blast. Mario, you're going to listen at some point in time. We love you, brother.
Mario, seriously, you're the shit.
That's right.
You're the man.
But one of the things that I'm in, and I get in trouble from people because I'm pretty direct, and I don't want to say that I'm confrontational. I'll tell you what I think. And if you're cool with it, that's fine. And if you're not cool with it, that's still fine.
That's fine too.
But when I was married, when I would have those types of things, I needed to keep my brain busy, because otherwise my brain would just spin out of control of how bad that day was, or or what I needed to do to fix what I fucked up, or whatever was happening. And so my deal was I would come home and I would go, hey, I need to be left alone. I'm going to be doing stuff. So I just need you to take the reins and take care of the boys, do whatever. And I'm going to go cut the grass for 2 hours. I'm going to go work on whatever the project was going on in the house. I'm going to go do something, but I'm going to do it by myself. I'm going to do it so that I can feel like I did something today, because today sucked. And 50% of the time worked out great. And she would go, yeah, go do what you got to do. And 50% of the time, because she didn't understand exactly what I was telling her, she'd be like, it doesn't fucking matter. I had a bad day too. And sharing that, and you guys being married at this point and happily married, sharing that load and sharing what that is, because there's probably going to be some days that your wife didn't have a great day, and she probably needs some time to do whatever the hell she does to decompress, and yours doing the same. But if you can do that, and as a spouse, as a life partner, or whatever it ends up being, I mean, you should be around that person enough to go, yeah, Jason looks rough, and he's being a crabby little bitch, and so. And you know what? I know for a fact that your wife will tell you, listen, you're being kind of a crabby little bitch. Why don't you just go away for a little while? Why don't you go upstairs? Why don't you go do something? Because I'm tired of listening to you. And that's her way of giving you, I guess, what you need. I don't know how your wife handles your situation, but it doesn't matter who you are. You're gonna need a time. You're gonna need a couple hours. You're gonna need whatever. Because life isn't perfect, and there's going to be those days, and hopefully those days are few and far between. But that's my world is I go and I work on a project, or I go and on occasion, once a week I'll go play hockey and bang into the boards, or take it out on some unsuspecting other 40-year-old guys that didn't know that I had a bad day, and like, what the fuck is going on with you, Hills? Right. Listen, don't worry about it. Get out of the way. Yeah. But those, and then you right size it, and hopefully you don't drag it into the next day with you.
I think to your point about how Hillary handles it, I think the good news there for her and I is we're very similar in that vein. So I love you, honey, but she can be crabby just the same way that I am, and vice versa. And I think for us, it's just a matter of, am I the problem? No. Okay, good. And then we move on from that, because that's the first assumption that I have, is that she's pissed off at me and I did something wrong.
Sure.
And then she asked me, did she do something to me? And then when we realize we didn't piss each other off, we move on with the rest of our evening, and things we really leave each other alone at that point in time for the most part. But
most of the time you pissed her off, though. Hillary Burns a saint.
I would yes. Yeah. 1,000%.
Yeah. Then I'll hear every once in a while, not often, but I'll hear like, hey, I had a shit day. You can't also be in this spot. Like
It's my turn today.
It's my turn to be crabby. And it's not like exactly that exclusive, but it is. Like if I know that she's had a shit day and I've had a shit day, and then I'm kind of being a crabby little bitch, she'll politely remind me, like, hey, I had a bad day too. All right, so go do the thing, or I'm going to go do the thing, or whatever it is, and then usually you can kind of move past things. I'm terrible when I know that she's had a bad day, because I think that's my opportunity to like kind of fuck with her and make her laugh.
Oh Christ!
And it very seldom is that the answer. So like, it's beautiful because like I know how much I can push, and so I push just a little bit past that. So like, I'll get her to crack a smile, and then I'll push a little bit more, and then I'm like, you can't be mad. You just smiled. Like you were just on board with being over this. And it works itself out. But yeah, I'm probably not the right person to. I'm not the right person to be super crabby around, because I will lean into that shit.
Just pushing buttons.
Yeah. I think that's my idea is like, we got to move this energy around. When you're stuck in an energy, I'm going to move it around a little bit for you.
I've grown up with the whole philosophy of don't play with dynamite.
Yeah, so I love dynamite.
Oh God,
I'm gonna be Jason Pierre-Paul. I'm gonna holding it and lighting it.
I'll poke the bear once. Typically, if you see a bear snarling in your face, normally I'm fight or flight enough that I'm like, bear's fucking big and mad. I should probably just back off. And then my shittier side is like, I wonder if I just wonder if it'll go away if I just poke it for him, and then then I get mauled.
See, I'm usually like, I bet I can outrun that bear.
Well, how often do you outrun that bear?
Never.
All right. Well,
I'm just confident.
how many times you got mauled?
More than I've outrun it.
Okay. Well,
I don't outrun the bear, and I don't poke the bear. I climb up the tree and I hide.
bears climb trees. Bears.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a bear climb a tree? It's fucking insane.
It is insane.
It's unbelievable. I love the people like, hey, if a bear run at you, climb a tree. No, that's a terrible.
You stop. If a bear
stop.
comes at you, you stop and you do nothing. So maybe you do have the right strategy.
Oh boy. Well, the work-life balance that we hope to achieve, or the work-life harmony, symbiosis, there's in that world, you have the hardest part about that is every one of us, everybody sitting here, everybody listening, every one of us wants to have more fun. We want to have more time for our family. We want to have more time for ourselves. Unfortunately, most of that stuff costs money. And so if you're giving up hours in the day of work to go and have fun, at some point there's a law of diminishing returns that can come and bite you in the ass. So having to, it's insane. My father is absolutely one of my heroes, and he is absolutely nuts. It's people that know him are like, how did you grow up with that? Because he's an unbelievably good dude. His energy is through the roof. He's 69 years old right now, and he has twice as much energy as I do. He gets up at 6 every single day, and he gets at it. And he's got shit to do. But he and his dad, for my entire life, as long as I can remember, to nauseam, would tell me, when it's time to work, you work, and you work as hard as you can. And when it's time to play, you play, and you play as hard as you can. And you don't mix the two, because you can't do it well mixing the two. And so the end goal for me, and what I ended up taking out of that growing up, was, there's going to be those weeks, and most of those weeks you're going to work a lot more than you're going to play. But when you get that opportunity to play, and whether it's with the kids, whether it's your own personal time, it's whatever it is, go have the best time that you can. and find a way to get yourself in that mindset that you're going to go have the best time that you can.
Right. I like that.
It's
a very purposeful mindset to have around, certainly around, focus, around having focus towards whatever's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people lack productivity, is they have really shitty focus.
Yeah. I still play a ton of sports, and old man sports, 40 and over sports, some 20 and over sports, and still trying to relive my youth a little bit. But people ask me, like, man, why do you still do it? Why do you still play hockey? Why do you still play volleyball? Why do you still play basketball? Why do you still play softball? Because it's fucking fun. And it's something that's not work, and it's something that I can take my mind off of, and for an hour or two I can focus on that and burn out all of my energy, and I can be as fucking angry as I want to be playing hockey. I can do all kinds of other stuff and be a kid for an hour. And I would challenge anybody to go do something that is fun, that is that makes you feel like a kid, and try and be mad afterwards. And it's rare. Like, I've had a couple of those times when I've been insanely mad and had really, really bad days that I've played and still been mad afterwards. But 99% of the time, give me 1 hour.
It takes care of it.
Give me 1 hour to do something that a kid would do. And I might, that stressor might still be there. That problem might still be there, and it probably is afterwards, but I'm not nearly as pissed off about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I'm a firm believer that anger is a temporary emotion, and most of the time it is a mask for either sadness or fear. And I'm not going to get too deep.
That was pretty deep.
But when you're angry, it's because that's the reaction, and the emotion is typically I'm sad about something or I'm afraid of something. And if you do something like play hockey or, go sit or, play golf or whatever it is, and release that anger and move that out of your vision, you typically get to I'm sad about this or I'm afraid of this. And those are things that you can take action against. You can take action against fear and sadness. It's very difficult to take action, at least action that's intelligent, from anger. So, I think doing something that moves the anger to the side allows you to handle whatever's underlying, which is, in my experience, mostly sadness and fear.
I think I'm going to take a lesson from that, me personally. Like, I know we're always trying to come up with ways for everybody who's listening to take something away, but I think I'm taking that away from this episode. I think is I don't know what that thing is. Like, if you say that your thing is sports, right? You're gonna play a sport, and you're gonna focus on that and just let everything else kind of go. I don't, other than sleep. I don't. That's my escape. I immediately I'm like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm pissed. I'm pissing off everybody around me. I'm going to go to sleep. And I think that's an unhealthy way to deal with it a lot of the times, but that's just what I've always chosen to do.
Yeah.
So I think coming out of this discussion, that's one of the things that I want to figure out and discover for myself is what can I do that I like the way that you're calling it. What is something a kid would do? Like, carefree and just enjoyable, and I need to figure out what that thing is and embrace that concept. I think it's a good idea.
I can't sleep. If I'm angry, like if I'm mad, zero chance. I'll stay up all night just grinding on it. There's my testosterone levels, my energy is through just angry, and I cannot do it. And it doesn't even matter if I get to a spot where I'm like, I'm not even really mad, I'm sad, or I'm disappointed in myself, I'm afraid of what's going to happen tomorrow, I'm afraid of whatever's going on, because it makes me more mad, because I'm like, God, you are some sort of bitch. Why are you fucking sad? I'm like, what in the fuck is wrong with you? And so I have to burn that energy off, and from what I know in my own world, I can run on anger for a short window, and I can be real angry, and I can be super shitty to be around for that whatever length of time that is, but that's an emotion you can't run with for a long period of time.
No.
So if you can find the outlet for that, an hour, 2 hours, I'll fucking challenge you to be angry for 3 hours straight. It's hard. It will exhaust you. Just doing nothing, just being fucking mad for 3 hours, you are exhausted. And so if you can find whatever that is, and it's different for everybody, but that's what I've figured out about myself is if I can do something that just makes me happy or makes, is something a kid would do and not feel ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to go outside and jump rope or, hopscotch, but maybe.
No offense to those who jump rope.
Yeah, jump rope is hard as shit.
Ever seen the really good fucking double Dutch dudes?
I'm pretty good at jumping rope, by the way.
Your ass on a stick. You're not fucking good at jump rope.
Not too bad.
But those are the things you got to do, man. And maybe your thing is jump. That would be, man. That's fucking hilarious. I'd love to see you outside like 9 o'clock. Just
We might have to make that happen in a future episode.
I'm down. I can just cross over. I can do it all.
I want to see you do the monkey bars. That's what I want. Have you tried to do the monkey bars? Speaking of kid things,
like a real monkey bars.
just go get like.
Yes.
You think you can still do a monkey bars?
Of course.
You're wrong.
We can definitely do this. We talked about this, and you can't, which cracks my shit.
I tried and I failed.
I can still do the monkey. Now, how long are these monkey bars? How many rungs are we talking about?
I can't get from rung 1 to rung 2.
Wait, and how high above the ground? Because I'm also afraid of heights. So how does that work?
I'm talking normal playground monkey bars.
I'll give it a shot.
Turns out my giant anaconda arms aren't good enough to hold my 210-pound frame.
That's fair. Okay. I'm going to give it a shot.
More of a grip strength. Most of the monkey bars that are around here, though, I'm too tall for, and I can just walk and do that, so I'd have to like bend my knees and do that. But after you told me that you failed at the monkey bars, I went out to the backyard, out to the
This is
school,
bullshit. This
and
can't
I
be,
was
this
like,
can't be
let's
the
see,
case.
see this. And so I ripped off 6 rungs. I mean, it was
that's not bad.
it was pretty good. I had to sit down for a little while.
He
after
casually let go as if he was intentionally letting go.
Yeah, I'm good. I did 6.
All right.
I'm taking that
Do
as
7 monkey bars.
just as long as it's more than Jay.
Right.
I'm taking that as my homework though. I'm going to come up with what
All right.
that
I love
thing is that that I can resort to in those moments when I know that I'm being a crabby bitch, instead of fixing that for 5 minutes and getting right back into it, or choosing to go to sleep for 14 hours.
Yeah.
I need to find some other outlet to let that negative energy go and bring back some normalcy to life. I think that's a good to do for me to take away from this conversation.
I agree. Well, I mean, you've been listening to the Grown Ass Dad podcast. Thank you for listening. If you've been listening to us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like this episode. Don't forget that we're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on TikTok. We're everywhere. I don't know, Jason. Where are we?
We're going global, baby.
We're going global.
We're on all the socials. We're at YouTube, but I think another important one is grownassdads@gmail.com. Hit us up. We think we have a lot of topics we want to discuss and things that are going to make sense to you guys as our listeners, and things that we look forward to talking about. But perhaps you, as a grown-ass dad, have some questions that you want to get our perspective on, or just want to kind of throw out there as a discussion topic. Send it to us via email, DM us on Facebook or Instagram, put it in the YouTube comments. Let everybody else share their stories as well. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to address your topics in addition to the ones that we think are most important. So hit us up. We look forward to sharing it with everybody else.
Loved it today, boys.
All
Cheers.
right. Thanks for listening.
Grown-ass dads, out.